Hello, everybody, and welcome to Music Industry Insights Worldwide. Today, I've got a massive, amazing guest with us, Cody. How are you?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
Very well, thank you. Do you want to tell the listeners a little bit more about yourself, where you're from, and what you do?
Yeah, my name is Cody DeLong. I live in Portland, Maine, and I am the CEO and co-founder of Sound Rink. We're a VIP ticketing service in music, comedy, uh, podcast, live podcasting. We do it all. I'm also a co-founder and partner at Armada Merchandise, which is a merchandising company in the States and worldwide for artists online and touring.
Great.
And then I'm also a co-founder and run a company with my business partner called Artist Flags that does backdrops and stage production items for touring artists.
Awesome. And how long have you been doing this for, Cody, and what got you into music?
I Sound Rink has been a thing for since 2012. So at this point, I think we're at 14 or 15 years, which has been crazy to think that, but I started out, working in, I was a booking agent actually. And so that's how the company started out. So, I got interested in music when I was like in my young teens, probably even before that. I think it was maybe like 10 or 11. It was like right when, you go look on LimeWire and Napster and download
All
music.
of the
And
days.
so, obviously definitely breaking the law back then, but it opened up a lot of avenues and learning about music and Warp Tour. And
Yeah.
my parents would take me to concerts early on, when I was younger,
Awesome.
and taking me to like those types of bands. I really got into photography when I was younger. And so back in the day, it was super easy to get a press pass to these shows if you had a website. And so I helped run a website and I did that. And then I got into show promoting from that when I was a teenager doing hall shows while I was still in high school. And then just natural progression into being a booking agent, which then uh, at the Kenmore agency, which being a booking agent led to starting Sound Rink, to create these VIP packages for the artists that I work with
Yeah.
at the time and creating an alternative. And so, yeah. And so then started that company, and then slowly that got busy, and booking I slowly got away from, which, anybody who's a booking agent knows it's a crazy business to be in. So I'm glad I don't do that anymore.
Yeah.
And then just kind of helped start other companies along the way. And that's where we are today.
Wow, you like to keep busy. Well done, Cody. Great work.
Yes.
You've obviously worked across touring, ticketing, and operations as well as merchandise. What first made you realize that something had to change in the live touring model?
Um, in live touring, I think a lot of it, at the time when Soundrink came in, it was more of convincing artists to do VIP than it was artists looking for a VIP solution.
Yeah.
Especially at the level that we started at and the artists that we work with. I started the company and I had some with my business partner Scott and Jason. And we had a couple artists that were playing bigger size rooms. Like at that time, I think were bigger, 1,000 of 2,000 cap rooms. And so we would do VIP for them. And then, you would have these smaller bands coming home from tour and not being able to pay their bills or coming home with nothing, but fans still wanting that interaction. And so we started applying that to those smaller artists that were playing in smaller rooms,
Yeah.
and realized that was just, a lot of these bands, it was an additional income that was coming in, and they were each walking away with, say, $2,500 at the time was a lot for a band
Yeah.
member to be, especially at the end of a tour when they were planning on zero.
Yeah.
And so we noticed that like that definitely needed to change. And so we built the company with that in mind. And, we have a lot of artists that have grown into playing giant rooms, bands like, Ice Nine Kills and Motionless in White, that we've been with since early on in the company's existence, and we've all grown with them. And then we've still kept like these smaller artists that we work with, because now VIP is even more of a thing even for those artists, which is great because those artists are really too the ones that need additional income as well to come home from a tour to pay for the exuberant costs of touring these days with gas and bus, and even renting a bandwagon almost as much as renting a bus these days. So
Yeah. Well, I think it's a great idea, and well done for doing that. For some of the listeners that might not understand what VIP means, do you want to explain that to them, the packages that are?
Yeah, so definitely. So there's a few different worlds of VIP. So the main one that we do a lot of is VIP meet and greets. So basically, it's an add-on VIP lift for touring artists to offer to their fans,
Yeah.
which usually includes like a meet and greet or something else. Sometimes it's a Q&A, an acoustic set, and then a meet and greet, a photo op, usually whether that's in a group setting or individually, and then some really exclusive merchandise that you can't get at like the merch table, and really add some value to the VIP, and not just, hey, you're meeting the band, here's that. And usually it's like a whole thing. We have some artists will do watercoloring with their fans. We've had artists do like trivia. So there's definitely some other things that artists do to help amplify that as well.
Yeah.
And then you get early entry. You get there early on, so you can buy merchandise, which I think is a big thing, especially considering a lot of times like merchandise does get low, or you just have to wait in a long line and lose your spot. So this allows those diehards to buy the merchandise and then go right up to the front where they want to stand, and they get there first.
Yeah.
And then there's other VIP packages that just include like early entry with some exclusive merchandise, maybe something that's pre-signed, and
Yeah.
still give people that experience. But if an artist doesn't want to participate in meeting the fans, we do that as well. And so there's just different tiers. And sometimes artists will do both tiers. It just but it's definitely to amplify that experience. And really, I think it's for fans to get something really cool, meet their favorite band, and have the artists, make some additional income for the time spent. Because, I think one thing a lot of fans and bands, it's like time is money. These people are away from their homes. They're, some bands, when they're not sound checking, they're spending FaceTiming their families for an hour or two, and then they're going to eat. And so if it's cutting into that time that they have, I think that, getting compensated for the time, but also being able to have that interaction, it definitely really helps. And it helps make it so these bands can still tour, right? Like that's the other thing too, is it's become such an integral part of a band's budget. Sometimes we still have bands that when they walk away from a tour, they're walking away with more than the $2,500 each, but like that's their profit from the tour at the end, is really is the VIP, or that paid for the bus so that they were comfortable, or that paid for, whatever, so that the band could do the whole tour and being comfortable, rather than, doing half a tour and then getting burnt out. So being able to, pay for those things to allow an artist to like do a whole tour without being too burnt out.
Absolutely. And many artists see like touring as essential for growth, but it's not always profitable, like you said. So where do you think artists are leaving money on the table, and what can help them to stay on the road?
I mean, as far as, I think there's definitely some artists that leave some money on the table with it. I think there's definitely artists that can be a little bit more creative and offer some more things. But I think also, like, any band, even if they don't want to meet their fans, have the ability to offer something that's exclusive. And I don't want bands to feel like they're ripping their fans off. And that's never been the case. I want them to feel like they're providing value. So we do a lot of artists that have in the past done meet and greets, and they're just at a level where it's, again, the time of the day to do it, and to be prepared for what the real big thing is, which is the show, them playing. That's really the big thing. So, we have artists that will have no longer do meet and greets, but they still know it's an integral part of their budget, and they don't want to leave that money there. So we've come up with other ways, whether it's, doing a pre-signed items with custom items, doing a photo backdrop photo that commemorates the show that they can take a photo in front of, early entry or a limited bar, stuff like that.
So it's all very personalized and kind of bespoke, and it's about a memory, isn't it?
Exactly, 100%.
Yeah, I really like that actually. And you often talk about super fans and use it, and they're being under leveraged at the moment, especially in live music. How do you define a super fan, and how important do you think they are?
I mean, a super fan to me is any fan that buys the VIP, because they're the ones that want to meet you, right? That's going to be your super fan. I think we're starting, we've been in this, it's funny. It's a term that's been used a lot lately in the last few years, but it's a business we've been in the last, since we started the company. It's always been about the super fan. So I think there's a lot of different ways artists are able to leverage that data as a super fan, right? So your super fan is going to be the fan that goes ahead and they buy the they buy the VIP, or even if you're not doing a VIP, even if you're doing like a standalone pre-sale ticket, which we do a lot of as well. We do a lower lower service fee pre-sale tickets for artists,
Okay.
because with that you own that data. You automatically, you don't have to do all this crazy segmenting to know. You know that if a fan buys during your pre-sale, during the first 4 days of that pre-sale, they are your super fan. They're more than likely a really diehard fan that are buying,
Yeah.
because they're buying it during that period. And
Yeah.
so through Sound Rink, when you're offering that, you own that data as an artist. You own the data for those fans. You can send emails to them. They have opted in when gone ahead, and you can do a double opt-in too. We always advertise, hey, like all the language is there for have them opted in, but if you do, you can do a double opt-in as well. And so then you can go and utilize that data for pushing information about your release, new merchandise drops. I think a lot of artists don't utilize that data that they have. And you can utilize that to push all of those things, Spotify pre-saves, and really help that funnel and really help grow that over the course of the lifetime of the band, right? Like you're constantly wanting to pull in data that you own that you can have, whether that's VIPs, Shopify buyers, bands in town subscribers, seated subscribers, all of those things, pulling them into one place or multiple places to push is I think where some artists and teams just don't utilize that data where they have it, and it makes a huge difference. We see it all the time with these going on sale with previous purchasers, and also people who are doing RSVPing it for getting the link directly sent to them. All of that really helps.
Of course, it helps kind of keep it consistent, but also professional. But then you can keep that data for marketing purposes as well, right? So that really boosts your sale efforts.
Exactly. Yeah, 100%. And you can utilize it for everything. It's not just the VIP, it's for the merchandise, it's for everything new, whatever it is, announcements, all of that.
Yeah, brilliant. And Sound Rink focus on helping artists with their fan relationships, which we're just talking about now. So what is the first party fan data becoming one of the most valuable assets that NAS can have?
I mean, it's like, as far as the data goes, I think it's because you're able to go ahead and see, you're able to really see that what these fans consume and what your fans want. And by having access to that data, I feel like it's definitely a really good thing to have. Like, I'm trying to think, sorry. It's, if you have it all in one place, you're able to really target down to where you are sending these things, right? So like you can, if you have a special show, if you have a pop-up, you're not oversaturating these fans who maybe don't live in that area. And you're able to take that and like really make sure that you're hyper focusing on those super fans and that data, and being able to like just focus on those ones, and you're not like spreading it out wide. Like a good example is, we did a pop-up for Black Veil Brides, for instance, where they did a pop-up, and we utilized the fan data that they had and really targeted it for Los Angeles, where they did it. And it was great. It sold out. It was really awesome, and they had a great time. But like, it wasn't something that was overly like, you're not like saturating your entire fan base with all that information. It was just a very highly targeted blast and email, and really so you're not like overdoing it where that hurts like the algorithm with Instagram and stuff like that. So I think it allows you just to really highly target your fan base in certain areas when you want to do something cool, or you want to, or you can do something broad as well. So.
And I think it also keeps costs down as well, doesn't it? If you already have that data, it saves you having to spend money in areas that you don't.
Exactly.
Yeah, I really like that. So tell us a little bit more about Sound Rink, and if someone wants to join, they want to come along to your platform, how could they go about doing something like that? And is it free or does it cost?
Yeah. So SoundRink, if you're an artist or management that wants to use SoundRink, we have a contact link on our site. You just enter your info, and that gets directly sent to us, and then we can set up a call to talk about your tour, what you have going on, all that information. We also have a services tab on our website, so you can view all our services and the things that we do. And it's really easy. We kind of get on a call, go over it, and let you know all the things we do and how we would fit in on your tour and how we would help bring in, that additional income. We have different decks and for different, whether it's a pre-sale or a VIP.
Yeah.
Yeah, our cost. So we charge the consumer a service fee.
Okay.
And then depending on the deal, we have a net profit split on the VIP. So for pre-sales only, we just charge the consumer a service fee.
Excellent.
And then for VIP, we do charge a percentage of net proceeds after all the costs, dependent on the deal structure, what's needed by us. I mean, there's a lot of artists that we handle everything from ordering merchandise to advancing the shows. And then every artist we deal with customer service, handling ticketing with the venues, it's a whole process that we deal with everything for that. So we try to make it, besides the VIP, the items and like doing the VIP day of, really hands off.
Yeah.
And we even provide copy for marketing and everything else.
Excellent. I'll leave a link in the description below as well. So thank you for sharing that with us. Now, obviously, VIP experiences have come an awful long way from the traditional meet and greets. What are some of the most innovative that you've actually dealt with and that you found the most interesting?
We've done meet and greets. I think I said earlier, but I'll say again, we did one where a band did watercoloring with their fans. We had tea time. We've had like a coffee time. So the meet and greet involved like everybody got roasted brewed coffee. And then they also got a mug, and then they got coffee beans that were specifically roasted. Cornhole tournaments. We had a Mario Kart one, which actually worked really well, where the band had 3 members. We had 3 TVs, and they just played Mario Kart. So it was like a nice rotation. So it was like 3 people plus a band member. So everybody got like 5 minutes with one band member. And then they did a meet and greet afterwards, and actually went extremely fast, just because, you're kind of doing 9 people, 5 minutes, times that by 5. And, it's only like a 30-minute meet and greet, a 30-minute session, then the meet and greet. And I think doing just like really cool stuff like that has always been great, really cool.
Yeah, I love to hear that as well. And it's nice that artists find that they also personalize that to their own experience and their own taste. And then they provide their fans.
Exactly. And I think some of it's like artist interests too, and then we have artists that will do on the extreme, they'll still do a meet and greet. They'll do the meet and greet and the photo op, but the item is something that's like really cool and specific. So we work with the band Dance Gavin Dance, and we just did a Monopoly board, and that's been the most intricate one that we've done, enough that we're actually shipping to all the buyers afterwards, because it's just been a long process, which is, they're going to be, if you're listening to this and you ordered it, it's going to be awesome. It's so cool. It's in production right now. And so we do a lot of artists that just like really cool stuff. I mean, we have Motionless and Whiteout, and they're doing a pendant with some tarot card. I mean, it's tarot cards and like a whole package, and really getting creative with those items, I think has been a key part in selling a lot of VIPs a lot of the time.
And it's unique as well to the actual buyers, right? So that's something
exactly
addition. So I really like the sounds of that. For independent artists that have a limited budget, for example, what practical steps can they take right now in order to build a stronger direct-to-fan strategy?
Yeah, I mean, so artists that are just maybe you're not ready for a VIP, right? I think that the best strategy is going to be getting as much data as you can. So running a standalone pre-sale where you're like, hey, I don't think that we're at the point where we should be charging for a VIP. We still want to meet fans at the merch booth. We still want to do that. Yeah. I think, doing a pre-sale that is off platform, that you can pull the tickets like we do. Doing that is a big part, because you own that data. So helping build that, making sure that you are pulling your lists from everywhere you possibly can to really help push out anything you have going on. And I'm not saying spam people. You don't want to spam people, but, utilizing the data you have and those lists that you have to push out that you have a new single out or an album or a merch drop or a tour, whatever it is, I think there's a lot of artists, their teams that just you don't have all of that in one place. So figuring out where you can put all that in one place, or maybe a couple places. Maybe it's a mailing list, and then you're utilizing Laylo, which we use a lot for RSVPing, and that's a big one for text messaging. I mean, I think, it's interesting. I feel like text messaging is a huge thing. Again, it wasn't. Yeah. I feel like it was back like when we first started the company, it was starting to be, and then it kind of was like, it was kind of like phased out, because it was more like social media, And then now it's back to like most people are texting. I think, the a lot of people having Apple iPhones. So I think that's kind of back. And it's like that immediate, like in front of your fans. Cause like everybody these days with TikTok has ADHD. You're
I
just
know.
scrolling, right? So it's like,
Getting the
it's
attention.
crazy.
Yeah, I've
Yeah.
noticed that actually with the social media. What is your thoughts and ideas on social media, and how do you think that's impacted music, especially live events and sales?
I think it's affected it because I think it's a big part of every marketing
Yeah,
budget these days because you kind of have to pay to get in front of people. So it's a pay to play system. So I mean, I think it's a big part of it. And I don't think you see advertisers spending, at least in the demographics that we're seeing, a lot of money on Facebook. They're spending money on Meta, but it's really on the Instagram and on TikTok.
yeah,
And that's really where the money is being spent. And there is Facebook, we do Facebook ads, but Meta as a whole, we do marketing for a lot of our VIPs. And so we'll utilize all these places to get to when we're starting to we do a budget usually like after we're on sale to kind of those places because we don't like to spend money where we don't need to spend money. If something's already sold out, why go try to push something? And so I think that that's a key part in putting this in front of people's faces because there's so many tours that go on all the time. And like, you need to make sure you're getting your tour in front of people to go to the tour. Cause if not, no one's going to know about it. It's not as like simple as posting it on a MySpace back in the day, but a
yeah,
Facebook event,
yeah,
it's not that simple anymore. There's so much data and everybody has an Instagram. Every band has an Instagram.
yeah.
It's all there and you got to make sure you're trying to get in front of everybody's faces.
And also understanding those platforms have got different customers on each one of those platforms as well, right? Different age groups, different demographics. Also understanding that with your fan base. It's really
Yeah,
important.
I mean, 100%. And you have fans that are on one, but they're not on the other,
Yeah,
right? And that's the thing. Like, you have a fan that may be in a different, like, less of a TikTok group than you would think, but really they actually are in TikTok, right?
yeah,
Like, I mean, that's the biggest. I think right now that's actually probably the biggest under leveraged social media platform by any musician. And I think a lot of people are starting to use it. I definitely see it a lot, but
yeah.
there's still bands that they just don't have a TikTok. It's like, but you want to at least have a TikTok and you want to be posting. And I think a lot more bands are catching on to that, which has been awesome, and a lot of artists. But I feel like there's still some that look at it like, well,
Don't
this. And I'm like, no,
social
you
media.
got to be exactly. You don't need to be doing TikToks. Like, that's not it. But like, you need to be posting what your video, like, at least be having some sort of video that's out there, even if it's music video snippets, and even if it's your tour video, or if it's just,
Behind
yeah,
the
a
song.
vlog.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Totally get you on that one, actually. And obviously, as technology continues to transform the music business as well, what opportunities do you think are available to artists and managers now to kind of get that stronger place in that, in the industry?
I mean, I think now the sky's kind of the limit. I mean, you have a lot of artists that are utilizing the social media. There's different agencies that they can hire to help them with that. But I think that the opportunity to build content that can go viral, that's feeding to your fans, is huge. And I feel like that's a big thing to take advantage of. I know I've talked about a lot, but I think the data that you can have access to, even if it's just analytical data
Yeah,
of who's watching that video, what's their age range, where are they, having that data, your Spotify data, as same thing. What is the Spotify analytical data? Like, you're able to really see like who's your fan base. Like, I think any band can say, well, this is our fan base, what they perceive to be their fan base.
yeah,
And then there's what is their actual fan base, and making sure that if you are realizing, well, okay, our fan base actually is like these teenagers and not so much the 25 to 35-year-olds,
yeah.
like leaning into that because those are clearly your music and your art is resonating with them. And then you can go ahead and figure out, okay, what can we do to really push that? Your TikTok views are more than your Instagram stories. So, or not stories, but reels. So like, how are we, what's the strategy there? I think you just have a lot more things at your fingertips to really make those decisions and kind of focus on where you're going rather than just like putting it out there and just saying, all right, hopefully it catches. Like, you can like
That's not going to
kind of
work.
see
Yeah,
where.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
kind of funny because I was looking at my demographics for the podcast and on my YouTube and on the Spotify, and actually 56% of my audience is based in the United States. So for me, that was really interesting to see. But then there's only 25% based in Europe. The rest is actually all around the world, which is really impressive considering it's all been organic and I haven't really paid for any of that stuff. It's all been community driven and shared, actually.
Yeah. Exactly. And then right? You have that data. And I think it's also like a big thing, and then if you are spending advertising dollars as an artist, then you know where to spend it. It's like if you're finding that 60% of your fan base is this demographic, you're not going to go waste your meta ad spend on a different demographic because that's going to cost you more to get your clicks than it is for people if you're resonating with a certain demographic, And so, not to say you're not going to push them, but you could then do different data ad sets. I mean, we do it all the time. Even pushing our VIP, we do a lot. We use a lot of Spotify data and different data to go, where's the best place to market this? Even though we're not marketing on Spotify, we still can utilize that data to go, okay, here's the best rate of, return for the ad spend. And we track that via, we have our pixel and everything. So we can track on our site when we sell, like what was converting, what's not converting, how these are doing. So.
Yeah, that's really, really good, actually. And I like the way you've built this from the ground up. And you've obviously been in the music industry for quite a while. So what has been the biggest lessons you've learned along the way and what kind of keeps you going in music?
The biggest lesson I think I will ever tell you is don't burn a bridge.
Okay.
Don't ever burn a bridge unless you think that unless it's a bridge. I mean, I don't think I've ever burnt a bridge. I mean, regardless of somebody not using us anymore or, no longer working with us or just a very frustrating person, or artist or manager, I've never once I feel like there's a lot of at least younger people that are maybe like, well, I'm just going to write them off completely. That I'm never going to work with that person again. And they just totally ignore it. But you don't know what's going on. You don't know if it was the artists who did that or if it was them. You never burn a bridge and you always be, I think, just nice to everybody. There's no reason, if somebody doesn't want to use you anymore, they don't want your service, you don't have to be a jerk and you just go, all right, cool, we're here. We have plenty of artists that we work with that have gone separate ways. And then 5 years later, they've come back and they're still using us to this day, and it's because we didn't burn the bridge of I don't want to work with you anymore. If you don't want to work with me, screw you guys. This was horrible. No, I mean, it's the music industry. It's a small world. And when you treat people like that, or if you word will get around, and it's not a good thing because over time, everybody knows about it and then nobody wants to work with you. And, I've worked in a bunch of different places, or a couple places over the years before Sound Rink. I was at the Kenmore agency for a good 8 years. And I've always treated everybody with respect and made sure that regardless of how everything went with a manager or an agent or a band, it was still ended on as good of a note as I could on my end. Right. And I think that's been the biggest thing. And then network, just go meet people, go to a festival, you go to these festivals, and Download, for instance. I didn't go to Download this past weekend, but my business partner, Scott, was there. So many managers and people, even managers from over here that are going over there that you don't see even over there. So
it's 10 minutes down the road. It's not far from here.
Yeah. And you get that FaceTime. Maybe it's not somebody who you have any reason to do business with right now, but you never know. You never know when that person is going to maybe have the hottest new band, or they're going to have an opportunity that you want to take advantage of it, and they think about you. I mean, I think it's you network. I go to festivals a bunch. I don't want to say a few times. It's definitely 5 or 6 times a year now, just to go see people.
Yes.
Yeah.
Community. That's what it's about, and friendship. It's very much a relationship.
Exactly.
Business. Yeah, for sure.
It is. It's these days with social media, a lot of people, it's really hard if you want to continue, to grow as somebody in the music business and really be with, the artists that you work with. You got to get out there and spend time with even them too, and not just stay in the background. That's one thing I've learned is I'm out there as much as I can be, between working and everything else, to really just at least be there, even if I'm saying hi for 5 minutes.
Yeah, yeah.
It's 5 minutes of FaceTime with that artist to say, hey, so when if something does go wrong with a VIP or a situation, they
Brilliant.
actually have a face to a name of, what, okay, he came and cared, they came and really helped out, and that wasn't just like ran in and didn't care, right? And so that's, I think, a big thing.
Yeah, that's good values, definitely. Also, we've got a few more minutes left. If the listeners want to find out more about you, they want to connect, they want to network, or they want to find out more about what you do, how could they do that, Cody?
Yeah, they can go to, www.soundrink.com for
Yeah.
Sound Rink. You can email me, Cody@soundrink.com. I'm available to chat whenever. They can follow me. My Instagram is, you can look me up. I don't know what it is, honestly. I don't really post much. Or just follow Sound Rink. It's sound_rink on Instagram as well.
Excellent. Thank you ever so much. It's been a pleasure talking to you today. Thanks for sharing your expertise, your views, and your platform with us. It's been great to talk to you.
Great speaking with you as well. Thank you so much.
An absolute pleasure. Keep up the amazing work. We'll keep in touch.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Bye.